Alright, so this is just We the People News. I hope everybody's enjoying life. And this video is a learning video. And please learn it. Alright. Once again, this is with let me try to clean this up a little bit. Come on, baby. Key. Where the storm clouds are gathering. Alright, subscribe to him, people. You're gonna learn within 10 minutes more than you can learn in a year with this guy. Alright, I'm just so jealous with all my studies and research. I don't know as much as half as much as he knows. So yeah, there is a little bit of jealousy there, you know. My retaining disorder, I got to study, and then I got to study some more. And then I turn around and got to study some more. So yeah, I'm a little bit on the jealous side, how good he speaks and all that. This is without prejudice or recourse. And I'm going to go ahead and just claim all rights worldwide and from the gods above. Alright. I did a video, it's going to be part 1 hopefully. And the reason why that other video was actually the end of this one, but I wanted to get everybody's attention and had it pinpointed through, so that way when you watch the video, then you can kind of go in and see what this judge and this officer was doing, because now you got a little understanding of what the judge can and cannot do. So when you actually watch this happen, y'all, that you actually got some type of basics to guide through this. Alright, and even though this don't happen all the time like this, judges a lot of times actually do get unlawful orders, period. Usually it's on paperwork and all that kind of stuff. But you know, so this is not nothing strange or new. It's just strange and new because we happen to catch it on film, which we didn't do it, but you know, I'm assuming the reason why we had this video anyways because the guy was live, or we probably wouldn't have this now. They probably would have confiscated his camera, turned around, raced it while he was in jail, and this, that, here, and there. So I suspect that it was live, okay? That's just my part of the knowledge, okay? Or we wouldn't be watching this, I'm sure. Apparently you can tell that they don't need warrants to do things because they're criminals. Alright, let's go ahead and dissect this. And reminder, he was doing this video off of James Freeman's deal. So you're going to hear James Freeman go in there and speak. You're going to hear him speak, and then you're going to, it's a web of knowledge, right? Alright. Almost pushed the wrong button.
Well, we have a fun one here for you guys today. We have a bunch of rogue agents and agency, and I'll make this a little live stream before they take this video down, because it is absolutely so devastating and damning it's not even funny. I can't imagine that it will be on YouTube much longer. So we're going to go through this video, 1, to capture it, to preserve it, and 2, so we can analyze it together and we can count all the different violations of the law and violations of these people's oaths of office: breach of trust, dereliction of duty, kidnapping, assault and battery, aggravated assault and battery, as well as baratray, simulated sham legal processes. We're really going to bust this one down. I myself have been noted for taking countless videos in the courtroom, clowning judges, clowning bailiffs, clowning the alleged sheriffs and stuff throughout communities and counties, and they have never once brought charges against me for it, because the last thing they want is me running this all the way up to the Supreme Court and exposing it for what it is, which is just sheer criminality within our courthouses, period. So we're going to go ahead and play this, and again, the reason I'm doing this is, one, to preserve this video. I don't think it'll last very long. It was only posted 6 hours ago, which means more than likely it'll be taken down in the next 24 to 48 hours. But I think it's important to know that this scenario happened in Indiana just a few short days ago. The man has finally been released from custody, where he was unlawfully warehoused illegally.
And by the way, I'm doing this videos also to get the word out. You guys need to subscribe to his channel. On top of this video does need to be recognized that it was out there, because, you know, videos has been known to be changed and just plain out disappeared. So hopefully people just keep making these videos and make this thing go viral, because we need to see this. People need to see this.
Without warrant, without due process of law, just on the whim of some guy wearing a red shirt who alleges to be a judge, who failed to produce his credentials, failed to produce his oath of office, failed to produce his bond, and in doing so acted arbitrarily and egregiously against this man's rights and his will, furthermore giving orders as though somehow this man was subject to the man in red. And I will tell you this right now, that if the government acts criminal, what stops everybody else from just going ahead and being criminals as well? If they exhibit criminality, then they, in fact, encourage criminal behavior instead of discouraging it. So let's go ahead and get this started.
My understanding is the person cannot film in the courtroom. They could film here. I think for security reasons, they don't want them there. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, no jury rooms either.
But as far as here, that this is not the
Because
If you film this, I will hold you to go into work and
you can't hold me in contempt of court when I'm outside the court, man.
bring me into work.
I'm not coming into court. Don't touch me, man.
I'm ordering in order. Security reasons.
No, do not touch me, brother. You don't want to touch me. If you touch me, that's going to be a lawsuit.
So he is, this man in the red is an alleged judge. He's ordering the bailiff to go ahead and take this man from where he's standing to a place for which he does not wish to be. That constitutes kidnapping. I don't give a fuck if you take him an inch or a mile. That's kidnapping. Secondly, the judge is allegedly, or this man who allegedly purports to be a judge, who shouldn't be sitting on a bench for very much longer after all the shit hits the fan on this one, didn't actually have a written order from the court with an upraised seal stating that this man should be detained, whether it be through a capias, a warrant. This is just an oral, verbal order outside the jurisdiction and capability of this man purporting to be a judge. Remember, this man is not in the courtroom. He is in a courthouse, and they don't get to just make rules on a whim in the courthouse because they feel like it, okay? Judges don't get to make fucking laws. That's for Congress and the legislators, first and foremost. So I just find it so absolutely aggravating and egregiously appalling that this gun-toting moron is going to violate his oath of office. He's going to subject himself to prosecution, both in his official capacity and personal capacity, for violating this man's unalienable rights based upon what some unrobed, alleged purported judge tells him to do. Okay, now remember, this man wearing a costume, acting as though he is an officer of the United States government, has absolutely zero authority at this point to put his hands on the man that he is getting ready to assault and batter. Now, what makes this even more egregious is the man in costume is wearing a tactical defense tool, what the federal government would identify as a firearm, what I would identify as a gun or a tactical defense tool, and what they will so often call it is a peacemaker. All right, there's a number of different names for these tools, and they all come in different jurisdictions when you use different words to explain them. So this constitutes aggravated assault and battery because the man is going to back up, and yet the man in costume is going to engage and proceed to come at him, even though he's saying, look, I don't wish to be taken into that room. This is against my will, against my consent. You know, there's no warrant. There's no probable cause here. Just simply because the alleged judge, or the man who at times acts like a judge, is having a bad day and I won't comply with him, you don't get to put your fucking hands on me.
Judge is ordering you something, you should not do it. So I'm going to spend 5 days in the county sheriff's department, I guess.
Have you been getting some angry calls, or?
Sure, yes.
Okay, about the arrest of that guy?
Yes.
Okay, well, I want to say thank you. I go around and I try to show people and convince people that governments are illegitimate. The more that he acts outside of law and outside of order and outside of the rules and decorum.
Now, when he's talking about outside the law, outside of order, he's actually talking about acting outside the scope of his authority provided by the Constitution. Where is this alleged judge delegation of authority, warrant of attorney to operate outside that courtroom? Furthermore, where is his delegation of authority, warrant of attorney to operate outside of Washington, D.C. and egregiously accost this man against his will just because he says so? Where did he get that authority? Who bestowed it upon him? Who gave it to him? Where did he get it? How does he have it? And furthermore, who had the ability to give that man the jurisdiction, if you will, over this man who is peacefully in a courthouse just simply minding his own business doing an audit, okay?
Forum of our society, the more it pushes my agenda, and I cannot even begin to tell you how grateful I am that he acts in this way, especially on camera. So, I am curious if you guys ever get concerned that when you act outside of the law so frequently and so blatantly, do you ever get concerned that other people might also start doing the same thing when they see that that's just the way things work in our society, or?
We have no further comment, sir, so I'm going to hang up the phone. I think our conversation has ended.
Sometime last week, I don't have the exact date, the CH half of CH and TY audits was in the Newton County Courthouse in Indiana. He walked around the publicly accessible areas of the courthouse, not in the courtrooms, documenting things and areas that people would need to document if they wanted to document their own interactions with government officials while they are dealing with the courts.
Now, I just want to stop and say this right here at this moment in time in this video. It's very important for everybody to be cognitively aware. The expectation of privacy in a public building or out in the public does not exist. If you're going to do something egregiously ignorant or act in a manner that is belligerent or whatever, and you're in public, just know this. You do not have a right to privacy while engaging in ignorance or nefarious activity, all right? You can't order somebody to stop recording. We're in a public building, yada, yada, yada. That doesn't matter, okay? Or you're in the courthouse. First of all, you can't trust somebody from the courthouse. Why? Because the owner of the courthouse has to come down and trespass you, okay? That is what a lawful trespass is. When you trespass somebody, it's because you can prove in some way, shape, or form that you are the owner of the building. So they don't have the grounds to make him leave the courtroom per se because they don't like his conduct or what he's doing, so long as he's not breaching the peace. Now, simply using your phone as a recording device to walk through the courthouse does not constitute a breach of the peace. However, what I have found is there are two types of people that do not like being audio video recorded in the public. A porn star after a long, hot, sweaty day at work, and who could blame them, right? They've been on camera all day. And a criminal, okay? Now, the porn star still does not have the privilege of telling you, or the right, mind you, to tell you that you can't film him in public. He's in public, and there again is no expectation of privacy, okay? And nor can a criminal who's breaking into a house or doing other nefarious things tell you, please don't record me, I have a right to privacy. You're in public, you don't have that luxury of telling people they can't record you.
I personally have found that...
Okay, and I'm going to pause it there. So that's in American jurisprudence, y'all. This even goes so much far as to everybody uses it, so we're going to go with Walmart still, right? Walmart is not the same as your house. It's a private business, but it's open to the public. And you have to commit a crime even in Walmart. So there's been a lot of misunderstanding of how trespass works even in Walmart. And once again, the owner has to do it. But that being said, according to American jurisprudence, all right, the trespass cannot be trespassed unless you committed some type of crime in there, or belligerent, or this, that, here, and there, right? So, but just going in Walmart, filming Walmart, and all that kind of stuff, doesn't change anything. Because even though it's a private business, it is no longer, basically, it's no longer private, because you opened it doors to the public. All right. Same thing with restaurants. We'll go with the famous making a cake case, right? It was against his religion, and you know, and but it's a private business. We're going to fight about this and this, and this. Well, no, you open the doors to the public. All right. So let's get these trespass actually halfway figured out, y'all. Because once again, your private dwelling is still private. It has a totally different trespass than Walmart. And it's a totally different trespass with the government. All right. Don't forget, the owner of the building, of the courthouse and all that, is actually supposed to be we the people. All right. Now, the government usually rents out buildings, so there's going to be a different deal. But even with so much as, argument's sake, the county or the city owns the court building, well, there has to be a man and woman that owns the building. And since we, the people, are actually flipping the bill, then we are the owners. So I don't remember anywhere on here that he actually trespassed himself.
I personally have found that it's incredibly important to document all of my interactions with all government all the time, especially courts, because they lie even more than cops. If you personally have ever tried to record inside of a courthouse anywhere in the U.S., you would know that most of them don't like it at all. But it has nothing to do with protecting private information, keeping order and decorum in the courtroom, or as an excuse.
Now, I will further back him up on that. I have been into a number of court cases where I have recorded. Later on, I release the audio video. The judiciary and the bar attorneys get their hands on it from Facebook or YouTube, and they call everybody in a frenzy. We violated a bunch of people's rights. We look like heathens. We look like we're out without law and that we're operating outside the scope of our authority, violating this man's rights. What are we going to do? The next time I went to court, there were all kinds of signs all over the door. Nobody is allowed to bring a cell phone or recording devices into the courtroom. Well, that's just the common tactic of tyrants, ladies and gentlemen, because remember, the courtrooms are we the people's courtrooms, where we the people get justice, where we the people have a right to be duly informed. And mind you, it's a form of discrimination because they are recording in those courtrooms. If they have a right to create a record, so do you, because where did they get their right to create a record? They got that right to create a record from you. So if they have the right to make recording, audio, have a stenographer in the room, utilize cameras in the room, which, mind you, all courthouses now are equipped with technology for recording people. Okay, there's cameras throughout the entirety of the room. So it's absolute preposterous horse shit that they say, well, there is private secure information in here that's top secret that can't be released to the public. Well, then I suggest you keep that shit under lock and key and you keep it out of the prying eye of the public, which means if I walk into the building and you have private intellectual property laying out where I can see it, it's your own damn fault if I caught it on camera, okay? And you should be fired for breach of trust and dereliction of your duty by not keeping secure documents in a secure area for viewing outside the preview of the public, all right? So we'll hear a bunch of nonsensical rhetoric coming here in a minute, and it always just makes me laugh so damn hard when these people try to perpetuate somehow that you don't have a right to do what you're doing.
The reason that almost every single courthouse across the country is so adamant about not allowing you to record is because they have so much to hide. While he's passing through security, they immediately inform him that there's no recording allowed inside of the courtroom.
Yeah, I can help you. How today, brother? I just have to put this here. This door. There's no recording devices in there. Yeah.
Okay, at that point, the officer is telling him the unknown, unregistered, unidentified agent and agency purporting to be an officer wearing his costume, using a first initial last name, which is an unknown, unregistered, false and fictitious conducting business in We the People's building, okay? Now, I can prove that unregistered, unverified, unknown, unidentified agent and agency had intent to use an unregistered, false and fictitious name. How can I prove that? He made a name tag for himself. He's portraying himself to be something other than what he truly is, so that he has plausible deniability, perhaps, or a way to skirt justice, all right? A way to engage in nefarious activity and remove his personal as well as commercial liability until you subpoena the information to court so you can properly serve him, right? So all these people should have their first, middle, and last name sewed onto their uniform so we know exactly who they are, right? Because a last name describes an entire tribe and generation of people. It does not describe that man that is sitting there. So because he has that badge on that has a first initial period last name, he is willfully, knowingly, and intentionally deceiving the public to mitigate his risk on how much commercial liability and personal liability he carries. And he's also preventing you, it's an abortion of justice, he's also preventing you from being able to get his full legal name. So if he does something that's egregious, you can hold him accountable for it, okay?
Yeah. There you go. Again, I'm recording device. Oh yeah, I know that. I don't want to go to jail.
Now he's telling him no recording devices are allowed in this building. I need the law, buddy. You show me the law, not the statutes, not the ordinance, not the regulations, not the rules, not the perceived orders from an alleged judge who's really a tyrant. I want the law. Where is it written in the Constitution that we are not allowed to observe our public officials, record them, take photographs of them, and record audio of them. It's not written anywhere. Now, people say, well, Derek, but that kind of technology wasn't created back then. If the founding fathers had known about that technology, do you think they would have written it into the Constitution? You bet your sweet bum I do. You bet. Absolutely, equivocally, without question. Now, not to mention the fact that any legislation or any rules or purported law that is made by Congress still has to pass the scrutiny of being constitutional, both by the state constitution and the United States Constitution, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm telling you right now that they don't want any of this to go to the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court will tell them that they don't have the ability or the power, first of all, to create law on a whim, okay? So this deputy sheriff, bailiff, is practicing law without a license would be my conclusion on it. Of course, we would have to go to a third-party, non-biased individual to get that rendered upon him. That's, again, is just my conclusion. As Mr. Nama says, your conclusion doesn't fucking matter, Derek. You're supposed to go to the third-party agency and let them make the conclusion. I get that. Unfortunately, the third party we have to go to by the House Senate report works for a communist party and is part of a communist manifesto hell-bent on destroying the American way of life, subverting the constitutions for the United States of America and all 50 states. So it's really hard to go to a third-party intervener when they themselves have designed this crap. Because where do you think that purported deputy sheriff got the acquired blasphemy that what he is telling this man is law? He got it from some lawyer or some judge who took it upon themselves on a whim to create law. It's the law. It's a rule. Well, I don't give a shit about your rules, and I don't give a shit about tyrants making law, per se. What I want to see is where it's constitutionally provided that you can act under the color of law, giving somebody like myself orders not to record in public our public officials, all right? And that power does not exist, and that power rests within the people. Article 1, Section 9, and Article 1, Section 10. Those powers not enumerated in the Constitution are reverted to the people, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go on.
Amen, brother.
No, it's judicial law. They don't have the recourse by. Well, see, the judge could hold me in contempt of court. There's no actual law against it. The only law against that would be the First Amendment. You know what I mean? No law.
Now, he states, and I think it's erroneous, but he states, the man filming states that he's fully aware that recording in the court may constitute contempt of court. Now, here's the problem with contempt of court. There are only two forms of contempt of court, ladies and gentlemen. And trust me when I say this, I have researched this very diligently, and I'm here to tell you right now with firsthand knowledge and experience, I have spanked the judge right on the seat and put him in his fucking place. He said, I'm going to hold you in contempt of court. I said, I accept and acknowledge your offer to contract. Would that be criminal or civil? He says, well, it's criminal. I said, well, then I purport that somebody in this room better make an affidavit stating how I harmed, damaged, and caused them loss or injury, or else your claim is of ill fame and defaming my character. Well, it's civil then. It's civil contempt of court. I said, oh, really? Civil contempt of court? Please produce the contract that I'm in breach of, where I sign my name willingly, knowingly, and intentionally with full disclosure. He says, we're moving on. I said, that's what I fucking thought there, Skipper. All right? I'm the captain of this vessel. You're not going to sit there and scare me, you lying, looting, pander piece of shit. Well, that'll be direct contempt of court. There is no such fucking thing as direct contempt of court. However, if you want to put me in a cage for any duration of time, I see it best to let you know I accept and acknowledge your offer to contract, and it comes at a fee of $5,000 a minute. Well, I'm not going to put you in direct contempt of court, but there is decorum in this courtroom that must be upheld. Oh, I agree. And part of that decorum is some tyrant from the bench shall not be threatening me and shouting obscenities, right? So knowing your rights, knowing the law, and being able to enforce it are very important.
Shall be passed abridging the freedom of the press, except for when we find it necessary. Are you here for court, sir? I don't answer questions, man. What's your name, sir? What's your name? Sorry. What's your name? Man, I don't answer questions. So what are you here for? Whoa, we should be What's your name? I don't answer questions, man.
Okay, so this guy, this agent and agency is going to continue to ask this guy questions. Remember, we have no verified proof. He's an unknown, unidentified, unverifiable agent and agency wearing a clown suit. We don't know who he is, but now he's asking discovery questions. What's your name? Who are you? Where are you going? And all of that is irrelevant. He can ask all he wants. He can ask until he runs out of breath, but you are under no obligation. Per the Fourth Amendment, you have the right to be secure in your person, houses, papers, and effects. You have the right to be secure in the information that you possess and what you are doing, unless you are suspected of engaging in criminal activity, which means you're in the commission of a crime, you're about to commit a felony, you have committed a felony. Even if you're about to commit a crime, that's really thought policing, and that can be beaten in a number of different ways because the man has no firsthand perfected information or knowledge that would lead him to believe that he's engaged in criminal activity. So he's just asking discovery questions, which isn't necessarily against the law. It's more of a nuisance. It's more of a litmus test to know whether or not you actually know your rights, okay? This man cannot be compelled at this point to answer this guy's questions. He's under no duty to answer this guy's questions, and furthermore, he is free to go at this point.
What's your name, sir? I'm just asking your name. Why are you up here? What's your name? Are you on this list? Are you here for court? That's what I'm asking. Sir,
Now, even if he was there for court, it's none of that guy's business, because here's what it boils down to. If the man is there for court, yet he doesn't make it to court, there'll be a bench warrant put out for his arrest, and he'll find out sooner or later whether or not he was on that list, okay? So really, it's just a bunch of quagmire bullshit that this guy's trying to do while he's pushing some security button underneath his desk, getting other officers rallied up. We got one of them people in here that's trying to expose the criminality within the system. We need all hands on deck. Everybody be alert, all right? And I want you to pay particular attention to this little thing right there. It's a camera, ladies and gentlemen. Top left-hand side of the screen there, you see that camera? Okay, so there's a camera there, which means they're all being recorded and they're all being videotaped at all time. And if they have the power to record and audio record people, then you have a power to do that as well. Now, I've been in a lot of courthouses where they try to take my phone, or they do, in fact, wrestle me to the ground and take my phone from me because I'm recording, and I find it just absolutely fucking hilarious. And then when I try to do an electronic there's a specific word for set of words for it. Electronic surveillance preservation request. ESP, electronic surveillance preservation request, okay? For the cameras and the audio footage within the court, they always tell me, well, unfortunately, we don't have control over that, and our cameras weren't working that day. Isn't that fucking convenient, all right? So just pointing out the obvious here, that they too are recording and capturing audio and everything else in the courtroom, yet have the balls and the gall to tell you that you don't have the authority or the power to do the same.
don't answer questions. What are you here for? Okay. What? What did you say? Am I detained or something? No. I'm not.
Okay, now he's asking him to come back. The man does has a very brilliant question. Remember, if you make statements, the onus of probandi falls back on you. So why make a statement? Let's ask a question, right? He says, I want you to come back here. And the man says, am I being detained? He says, no, you're not being detained. All right, then I'm free to go, partner.
Hey, man, I'm good. Thank you. Hello. I don't need any help, thank you. I'm just documenting today.
He has some nice little to the staff, and things seem to be fine here. It certainly appears that if I were to come into this building to conduct business, that the staff would not have a problem with me documenting my interactions with them.
I don't answer questions.
Now we see we have two or more officers acting in concert, egregiously trying to conspire without saying anything, using Jedi mind tricks on how they're going to remove this man from the building. What